The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Tell Us Why, a podcast for the financial freedom community. If you're looking to succeed in your quest for financial freedom, make sure you join us every week as we, along with our guests, discuss different stories of success, how they were achieved, and how you can do the same. And of course, we ask them to tell us why. Here are your hosts, Jack and Mike.
Welcome to the Tell Us Why podcast. I'm your host, Jack Dalrymple, here alongside my co-host, Mr. Michael Ketchen. Today we'll be talking with David Medina, who is the founder of Leo Minor Property Group. He owns a business focusing on flipping rental properties in the Manchester area. He has several other businesses that we might touch on, but all while attending college. But before we dig into that, what's up?
Nothing much. It's end of the year, which is a good time. Means it is goal-setting time, and we're getting after it, meeting with the team, refining the systems, and 2021 was pretty good, but looking to crush 2022.
Set those goals for 2022. I like it.
Absolutely. What about you?
It's that time of year. Finished the heating system upgrades on the latest acquisition, which is nice. Nice to have it over and done with. Yeah.
You know you're a real estate investor when you geek out about mechanicals.
Yeah.
That's when you've made it.
Finally, I know. Like it's all rented out and everything like that, but I wanted to get these done before the winter.
Yes.
Just to get it out of the way. So that was on a construction loan. Need to request the $60K-ish back.
Oh, the draw process. We should actually do a whole episode on draw process. I don't think people realize the amount of liquidity you need and the creativity you can use to get going. Oh, yeah, it's not ideal.
Inspections, the whole deal. But, yeah, done.
So, I like it. Look at you taking action.
Time to go.
So just out of curiosity for the people at home, did you go to that inspection or did your property manager go to that inspection?
I got to set it up.
Oh, so, yeah.
He will do it. He did it last time.
I bet he will.
Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry.
Setting 12% on fire. Anyways, so today's episode, honestly, one of my favorite people forget real estate. I met David and his whole team a couple of years ago, and been wanting to get him on since we started the podcast just because I love seeing local people grow and succeed and people I know. And you're going to see firsthand a pretty cool story and a great guy.
Great story. I'm excited to have him on, not going to lie.
Should we have him on? Should we hear what this week's brought to us by?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right.
Are you sick of being treated like just another number by large insurance companies? Do you want a more personalized experience with somebody that you can trust? With Keith Monteith, that's exactly what you'll get. Keith is an experienced professional who can design an insurance plan tailored to fit your specific needs. With access to over 30 insurance carriers, Keith is able to shop numerous markets to find a price that works for you. So if you want an insurance agent that you can rely on and one that has your best interests at heart, then call or text Keith today on 978-241-2363. That's 978-241-2363. Keith Monty. He'll get you covered.
Okay, so David Medina, as I said, is the owner and partner of Leo Minor Property Group. Has been in business for the last 4.5 years, focusing on flipping, as well as owning some rental properties, which I think we'll touch on in Manchester. Currently attending college?
Say it again?
Currently attending college?
Currently attending college.
Oh, man.
Look at this guy. How busy I am.
On here?
I'm in my last year of college, so.
All right.
God, make me feel lazy.
You have some other LLCs and helping your wife with the booming staging business. So,
absolutely.
David, welcome to Tell Us Why podcast.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Let's hear who you are and where your business is at today.
Yeah, so, I'm David Medina, Leo Minor Property Group. I've been a part owner in that company for about 4.5 years now. Started from the ground up, little family business, although people say don't get in business with your family. But
pros and cons.
It has its pros and cons. It definitely has its pros and cons. We on this business, there was an opportunity that was presented to us on this like a platform, educational platform on real estate, and we thought, hey, let's give it a shot. We didn't know at the time that anybody was going to go to college. So. One of my partners, which is actually the father of my other two partners, which is my brother-in-law, Giovanni Philbrick, and then my wife, Sadri. He's like, hey, let's try it out and see, because he's an older fella, so it's like it takes a little bit, for him to, how people back then were with real estate isn't the same way on how they are, nowadays, being able to leverage properties and stuff like that. They just thought that, hey, I got to work, build that 20% down, and then go get that property. You know what I mean? So Mike knows a good amount about my partner. But yeah, so we started that about 4.5 years ago. We tackled that education. At the time, I was just the boyfriend, so I was like, oh, well.
wasn't there yet.
I didn't know if the opportunity was going to come, but I was happy as heck to see.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
He's being way too sugarcoating. Like this is, we're going to take this.
Go ahead.
Cut the bullshit.
All right,
All right. So here's what we're going to do. I know David, and I want to give the people, because I really want to get so much out of this episode, only because what you're doing right now, and I really want people at home to listen to this. I love episodes where we have active investors, people out living their why.
Okay.
I said this to you a few years ago, and you've only got better at it. You guys are some of the best home flippers I know. Mm-hmm. And you've done that with a family dynamic. You've done that with adversity. You've done that through multiple things. Tell the people at home to date, how many flips have you guys done now? It's 10, 20, 30. It's ridiculous.
We've done more than 12 at least.
Yeah.
It's working with a family doing flips. It can have its good days and bad days, because some days, one person wants to do this. The other day, some people want to, we want to do that. And then some days we're just, all fighting with each other. So it's like, it's that first year, it took a lot of, putting our foot down and just trying to build like structure, trying to figure out what role is who. And, we ended up doing that. Still to this day, we have our, if, ands, or buts, between each other. But, at the end of the day, we still got to make it happen because, we've been in business for 4.5 years now. You know what I mean? Most of the time, it's 2 years. And if it doesn't go good in 2 years, you're done, And
you guys have grown during those 4.5 years.
We've grown. We've done flips. When I met Mike, that's when the rental aspect came in. You know what I mean? Like, I think like the first time that I met Mike, it was a meetup in Nashua. And something just told me to gravitate to him. You know what I mean? And at that point,
that's probably yelling at somebody.
You probably would. But it's just that even when you're yelling, it's like you're not yelling to put somebody down. You're yelling at them because you want them to understand better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's when I was like, ooh, like.
I tell Jack that all the time. He still gets emotional.
Well, he does do that. He yells a lot. But he does it to push you, though. It's valuable criticism, to put it lightly.
Thank you.
Exactly, to put it lightly.
I was going to yell at our producers before the start of the show, but we'll get into that after. So staying with that note, what I really want to relay today, I'm kind of being selfish. I'm throwing a curveball at Jack here, and he's rolling with it. But I'm thinking, because I decided to hear you talk, and I go, you know what? Basically, fuck all that. Like, forget the way we're doing this and everything we had planned out. For the most part, we'll get back into it.
All right.
But where I'm seriously having a conversation is, you have pivoted within these 4.5 years. You have gone through, you've now done flips, you've done rentals, you're taking it. The most impressive thing to me, though, from afar, right, has been the growth to watch that go. And we're talking about how 1124 has grown, and we're all going through this. So what I really want to get into today with you is, as you mentioned, over the last 4 years, tell the people, because we usually ask where you're at in your business, but Jack kind of hit on it. I don't want to hear just about your business. Where are you at with all of your streams of income right now? Because I know you've got a couple opportunities with the wife. So why don't we touch on those real quick? What does Leo Minor have going on, all these different things right now?
So right now, the Leo Minor Property Group is just, the four of us, like I said, the four partners. Then there was a time where I spoke to you on the phone and, in person a couple times. And this was after, I had a tragedy of, the passing of my son. My wife, everybody thought that my wife was going to go downhill a little bit, because obviously we lost a child and whatnot, and she'd been through a lot. We've been through a lot, 4 months of basically not doing a single thing about real estate, but I was able to still have our rental properties pay for that, for me missing basically and not producing that, the more business. That's when it was an eye opener, you know what I mean? Because it's like, to me, it's not about the financial freedom. Yes, that's going to come, but it's more the having the freedom of time as well.
Yep.
I speak highly of that. Freedom of time to me is everything. Being able to spend time with my kid and all that. Because I do have another 2-year-old boy. Yep. So once my son passed away, we basically, my wife just told me, hey, snap out of it. Let's go. We can't sit here and mope. It's not going to bring him back. And this is my wife, the mother.
This is going on. This is this year.
This year. This is, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Jesus.
And at that point, I met you at one of your properties, and you're like, I'm telling you this again, David. You'd kill it as a just doing the GC stuff. Just subbing out work. You know what I'm saying? And every time I hear Mike speak, tell me something, I'm like, all right, I got to do it, because if not, he's going to get really redheaded and just start flipping out at me.
So to recap, because this is probably one of the first times you and Jack have met.
Yep.
No, we met at the meetup.
So to put that in words, right? You take this year, okay? You go through the worst tragedy anybody can ever experience.
Yep.
Fortunately, if there's any fortunate, some of the strategic investments you and your team have put in place in the last few years allowed you to go through that. I remember, going through that. Yep. And thank you for sharing that. And that's tragedy. But the message I want everyone to take away here is, and we talk about mindset so much. Yep. You and your team had this terrible life event.
Yep.
And you could have gone one of two ways. And you said, we're not going to play the victim. No one's going to sit around. As you said, Sandra, your wife, shout out to her, she's awesome. Yep. Said, we're not going to play the victim. We're not going to mope. We're going to get after it. Now, you've got the flipping back up. I think you guys have got, like 4 properties under contract right now?
So right now we did, basically a little story there, which will be pretty quick. We had an agent that reached out to Sadri because she was the one who actually found the property.
Yep.
She's also an agent. They asked us to waive inspections and, at the offer that we were at, and, they'd accept our offer. So I said, okay, I looked at it enough and I knew exactly what the house needed, property was in Manchester, you know what I'm saying? We said, okay, just forward us the PNS and we'll sign it up and we'll go about it. Then like 2 or 3 days later, 4 days later passed by and we're contacting this agent every single day. You deal with this every single day in this type of real estate industry, You have good agents, you have bad agents, and
It happens. Yep.
We ended up seeing on either Redfin or Zillow or MLS actually, property went under contract. We're like, we haven't received anything yet inside, So she called. The girl just kept on, or boy, whoever it was, just red button.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then just sent an email. Didn't even text. Just sent an email and said, hey, we accepted somebody else's offer.
All right, so there's about 5 lessons in unpacking agents, but I don't have enough time on this podcast to go into how I feel about that.
Do an agent episode for it.
Either way, since then I know there's been a few going on.
We have some flips in Tingsboro, Mass. right now that we're trying to figure out if we could build new construction on it because it came with a bigger lot. We have a duplex that we just closed on in Nashua that we're going to be burring that as well.
Yep.
It's really low rents for a 2-bedroom apartment. Nashua right now is booming, considering the new development that they're doing downtown and the new theater. So we jumped all over that. That actually came from a wholesaler, which, they're great people and all, but sometimes they try to take too much and then leave nothing for us.
David sugarcoats. They don't know what the hell they're doing half the time. So...
But again, we have a good amount of activity going on.
Multiple leads, GC business launch, Sandra's agent business taking off. You still have the rentals going from Leo Minor, and you're pushing through it all this. Do you see all the systems? Jack, you're nodding along over there. Do you agree with this?
No, I mean, I'm baffled. Like, you can't plan for a life event like that. Like,
no,
you can say that you do, but you can buy life insurance and something like that. But losing a child,
I think it's worse than losing a parent, to be quite honest. You know what I'm saying? But it's. I can't mope around and continue moping around because that's not going to take me to the next step in life. You know what I mean? And the next step in life that I want to be at is not have to worry about money. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like when you don't have to worry about money, you have opportunity that you can do anything. You know what I'm saying? So we have the flipping company and rental company, which is Leo Minor. I personally own another company, Visionary Property Ventures, which that's just me doing general contracting work. And it doesn't mean I swing the hammer. It's just I sub everything out.
Yeah, the system's keeping you guys going.
Exactly.
Yep.
I've done, one job already, have got another one lined up, and we're just another stream of income. You know what I mean? So now I have the flips that's bringing in some income. We have the rentals bringing in some income. We have the GC stuff bringing in some income. My wife's an agent, and, she's bringing in income. I mean, just last month alone, she closed on 4 deals. You know what I mean? And that's 2% on basically everything in Mass is almost $350,000 to $400,000.
Yeah, minimum.
So we have that, and then she scored huge with a developer on a development for staging. The guy wanted everything staged, so we did that. So we have, a handful of different streams of income because it's like we can't. like you told me on the phone once, you can't just wait and rely on just this sole income.
Yep.
You want to have different, different other incomes. On the way here, I'm thinking, I see a couple buddies on Facebook that, they buy these Mercedes or BMW and stuff like that, but now they're putting it on an app to rent.
Oh yeah, on the Turo.
So you're basically Airbnb-ing your car.
You're making you're transforming a liability
into an asset.
Yeah. And if you listen to what David just said, the actionable step there is there are multiple streams of income through the one prism, through the one lens of real estate, right? And we talk about that all the time, is basically thinking really big but aiming really small. And I'll throw it back to Jack real quick for those who might forget his story. He's got long distance investing single families. Now he's got multifamilies. I believe you're now looking at Airbnb. You've done some more passive stuff with myself.
Definitely.
I mean, you're already diversifying within that.
I mean, just going back to your multiple streams of income, I see it all over Instagram because that's where I spend 90% of my life when I'm not working. The average millionaire has 7 streams of individual income. And if you have one, if you're working a 9 to 5, that's it. You can get laid off and your
Leverage.
income is done. So if you have these 7, there's a reason why millionaires have multiple streams of income, because if something goes wrong in one, you still have the other 6 to cover your ass.
Exactly.
And I think that's very important, that a lot of people working 9 to 5 don't generally focus on or realize that they think they're taking less risk, but they're putting all their eggs in one basket. And as far as I'm concerned, that's as risky as you can get.
I just heard, I just had another thought again today, and we're trying to launch, the Tell Us Why newsletter, a couple of things for the community we'll get to. But like we talk about all the time, and really the message we want to hit that doesn't get taught, and I've said this to you, is wealth does not come from transactions, right? So if you think back to what Jack just said, when you're leveraging one-to-one, right, when you're working a job, whenever you're exchanging your labor for work, okay, even if you're a doctor, a lawyer, I got a guy I'm coaching right now. He's a doctor. He's a doctor in New Hampshire. He's doing quite well, but even he realizes now there's only so many working hours, only so many working years, and he's very burnt out because of COVID. So essentially, wealth does not come from transactions. You will not become wealthy, meaning financial freedom and time freedom combined, usually. I'm not saying it's impossible. If you're Michael Jordan, you can dunk a basketball, you can make a lot of money. But for the vast majority of us, you need to think in streams and passive and repeat business. And you'll see these patterns from everybody, right? We're all real estate people, but we've had plenty of people on Troy. Shout out to one of the earlier Tell Us Why episodes, Troy's French Kitchen. Go back and look at it. We met for drinks a couple weeks ago. You know what he's getting ready to launch? We can't wait to have him back on. He's looking to franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And get multiple, basically take his model.
I want in on that.
And get it going. We all want in on it. I told everybody he's going to be rich, everybody I know. So just bringing that whole thing full circle, and it's really a testament. And one of the reasons I was so excited to have you on is I hate the victim fucking mindset, right? We say it all the time. Hope is not a fucking plan. We say it ad nauseum. You are not going to go through anything worse than what David and his family went through. It's not going to happen. So basically, stop feeling sorry for your fucking self. Take fucking action and make a plan. Exactly. And then get after it. And that should be your goal for 2022, right? Yeah. No more whining about it. No more, oh, woe is me shit. Like, get after it. Start making a plan and just start. It's not going to be perfect. I said this year, we grew. We tripled the size of my company this year. You know what? We also got sued twice. We had 4 newspaper articles written about us. Apparently, I'm the worst thing to happen in real estate. I mean, no one's feeling bad. Like, no one's showing up to be like, woe is me. Like, one of our Airbnb markets, I don't even know if I've shared this. Kenny Bunkport just changed overnight legislation. They just changed. Oh yeah. They decided that my house that's had 300 stays can no longer host 15 people. It can host 12. No rhyme or reason.
All right, at least
no one feels bad. I thought about my letter. I'm like, what am I going to say? Yes, the angry person with the $1 million house. I feel terrible for you. I mean, no one cares. No one gives a shit. People have real problems. So coming up with systems, taking action, and that's what I was so excited to dive into. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was really wanted to go with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And all right, now I've kind of derailed Jack's whole thing, and we've got cell phones going off in the background. Jesus, 1124 properties. It's honestly, it's probably his property manager. So anyway,
not sure who that is, but
all right, cool. So like I said, again, we've touched on all the different companies, and I believe what is it? It is now time for where are we going? Addicted to problem solving.
Yeah.
With Mike, what do we got?
So talk on just before we move on, just going into the what book or resources would you recommend? To anyone looking to do any of the multiple streams of income that you have?
Yeah, so I mean, to be quite honest, I don't read a lot. I don't read a lot of books. The couple books that I read half of it on, which I'm gonna get back into it now, is The Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
Because
The Bible.
Literally,
Yep.
And then that Burr book. It opened our eyes. It opened my father-in-law's eyes on the part,
man.
because again, it's that mindset that is, when you're older, you just work that 20, for that 20%, and then just take that and put it down. I have an uncle that has several properties, but that's what he did. You know what I mean? There was no burring. There was no creative financing. And then that's when I met you. It's like you opened his head and just pounded it with information. My father-in-law.
Oh, we met. To be fair, we met at a restaurant, and Bud's an older gentleman who's very successful. And they basically told him he was wrong on everything for 2 hours. And luckily he didn't fight me. He's a stocky guy. But it kind of got back to it. And you hit on something earlier I want to tell people is the education piece, right? I think part of the thing with that generation, though, is you also got to remember how fortunate we are.
Right.
The internet, YouTube University, you talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And conversely, there's a lot of bad resources, but there's also a lot of good resources where we were able to connect at a networking event that we only knew about because online told us to put it together. And everyone shares resources.
Exactly.
30 years ago, it was such an exclusive club.
Yeah. You had to know someone.
And that's what we're seeing now. And I think that's definitely something we can't lose sight of either. But yeah, staying with that point you were saying, yeah.
So the education piece, just going back to that a little bit, that if that wasn't presented, I don't think none of the real estate stuff would have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
As far as the investing.
Yeah.
Because again, going back to some of the older folks, to them it's like, well, I already have my house. Why the heck do I need another one? Because they just know that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I trade my time for these 4 weeks of vacation a year and a retirement at 65.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And that it's unfortunate, because I'm not going to say it like that because some people that's what they know and that's all they want to know.
Well, choosing to work and having to work are two very different things.
Right.
And we say that all the time.
Right.
Choosing to trade your time for money at something you're choosing to do, I'm always fine with that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's having to do it and then not being exposed to the resources to change it, or even worse, being exposed and then not having the willpower or the want to do it and then crying for it. And that's the negative energy we talk about cutting out of your circle right away.
Right.
The minute someone comes in with that negative energy, it needs to go.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't know this stuff. We do a lot of coaching, mentoring around, hey, this is where we go, this is where we get started. But once you get started, I'm sorry, that's the end of it. Either you take action or you don't. And I don't have time if you're not.
Exactly. Exactly. So going back to what book or resource I would recommend, I feel like it's more on the resource. Like you said, YouTube University. YouTube is huge.
Yep.
If you don't have funds to invest into an educational platform, just searching up the simplest stuff about real estate, you're gonna learn a lot. You know what I mean? YouTube. Just going on Facebook.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of Facebook groups.
Oh, yeah.
And
you can get deals and everything, and then now it's huge.
And it's like, people think of it as just like a social media, which it is, but you can benefit so much out of it. Get so much education out of it.
How much time? Think about what David just said. If you're using Facebook to just scroll and aimlessly blast, what are you getting out of it? Versus if you're looking at it, and that's what I tell people, if you want to learn a lot about a person, we said this last episode.
I was just going to bring that up too, yeah.
Look at their cookies. You can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
The things that YouTube and Instagram thinks you want to buy is what you're spending your time looking at.
Right.
What you're being shown on Instagram and Facebook and your ads is what he means by cookies for those that don't know. Yeah.
I'm that old. I'm showing my age.
Yeah.
Those ads.
Those ads that you're
read.
being shown on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Twitter, if it's all, I don't know what something would be, but if it's not real estate investment or business focused or, it can be anything. Whatever.
Yeah, if it's all luxury,
Google is going to be
luxury shoes and video games. Yeah. Again, nothing wrong with that. We're not here to tell you anything wrong with it, but you can't then turn around and say I'm being productive. We all get the same 24 hours.
Right.
So if you're on Facebook, David, quick shout out again on what we're talking about, the network. Nancy, another girl who's on an episode, she was on the earlier Tell Us Why podcast. I sold her a house on a wholesale that she's going to flip in Haverhill.
Yep.
She needed an electrician. I reached out to David because I don't do a lot of work in Mass that involves licensed contractors. And I almost made my joke, but I caught myself.
See me smiling over here?
anyways, yeah. So anyways, David connected this Facebook group that was formed. That's all Southern New Hampshire contractors.
Yep.
So there's dozens of posts every day, either people asking for labor and getting bids, or people showing their work to get bids. Yep. And the best part is, it's a walking testimonial. There's accountability within the group. Yeah, if you recommend somebody in that group and they do a bad job, now you talk about the impact of Yelp. There's thousands of people in real time within this group who are going to say, don't hire this guy or this gal. She's terrible.
Several of them.
Conversely, if you do a good job, boom. I saw David, again, recommend somebody today for a plumbing job.
Yep.
That guy doesn't know. David just did free advertising.
Literally.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the power of what we're doing. And until you learn how to leverage that, you're really doing yourself a disservice.
Well, it's like the Merrimack Valley Eats with Jerry. That
huge.
community, if you use it in the right way, it can be extraordinarily productive.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say, I just saw someone's opening. I thought about our episode with them. Someone's opening a new restaurant in a part of New Hampshire. They went on as the owners. They didn't go buy billboards. They didn't go do whatever the hell thing comes in the mail. They didn't do any of that. They went on and posted Merrimack Valley Eats and invited. It was so smart the way they worded it. They invited everybody in the community to come check it out. You know what was on there today? Multiple people sharing their. I'm going, this is friggin'
60,000 people.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant.
Yep. It's the power. The power
Zero.
of social media.
Leverage.
And that's it's the sad part is a lot of people they don't think that way. A lot of people they feel like, oh, if you're putting too many posts on social media, you're like my wife, for example, she was promoting her staging gig. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Or promoting her that she's an agent. This guy commented, inboxed her privately and said, "Hey, this isn't how you should use your social media. You know, I have like 5 or 6 posts," and I was like, "Yeah, well,
So
tell him to."
Did you ask him?
Can I swear?
No, you can swear whatever you
Tell
want.
him to fuck off. and unfriend him.
Well, no, I wouldn't even do that. I'd say, sir, this is great news. Can you share with me $1 million revenue in staging business? Oh, you haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Then you tell them to
You
fuck
want to know the crazy part?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to put a name to it, but you want to know the crazy part?
Yeah.
This kid was in the same real estate investing classroom that we were in.
Oh, don't get me going on that. Don't get me going on that.
Yeah.
That's why. Like, I
Still
just
waiting on my
that.
bottle of Pappy Van Winkle.
Actually, I owe you one of those.
Leo Minor Group. All right. So, yeah, we're going to go off the rails. We're going to be here forever. So, I think.
Move on to the big.
Is it ready to hit him with the heat?
Let's do it.
But before we do that, who's the heat brought to us by?
QS Advisors.
All right, let's hear it. Let's check it out.
It's now time for the Big 3 segment, brought to you by QS Private Lending. Are you looking to finance your next deal quickly and reliably with less hassle and paperwork? QS Private Lending is one of the oldest and largest hard money lenders to real estate investors in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Our quick and simple short-term loans require no appraisals and have enabled hundreds of builders and investors to profitably acquire and renovate thousands of residential and commercial properties. To experience the QS difference for yourself, call or text Luke Conroy today at 315-323-0250. That's 315-323-0250. QS Private Lending.
Okay, so now it is time for the big 3. The 3 questions we ask every guest every week. And I know we touched on this briefly in the beginning. College. I'm going to start with the college question. So, in your opinion, is college worth
He's
it?
actively in college, so we got to be careful with this.
So it's funny because before I got here today, I literally asked all my partners. I'm sitting in the office upstairs, and I'm like, "This is one of the questions." We all have different opinions. You know what I mean? Is college worth it? For myself, actively being in college right now in my last year. When I got out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Real estate wasn't even in the forecast. Like, it wasn't anywhere, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was, turning 18. I started working for Subaru as a detailer and grew into a mechanic. And, I went that route just because I knew people that were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a mechanic, my cousin. So I was like, hey, if they're happy, then maybe I'll be happy doing it.
That circle of influence.
Right. And then, I did it for 4 or 5 years, and I just got tired of it. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week, and at the time I didn't have kids, but I was barely seeing my wife.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying, or even seeing my family.
Yep.
So when that, going back to the education, once that was presented, I was like, after they invited me to be, because again, I was just the boyfriend at the time.
Yep.
Now I'm the husband, so I think I leveled up.
A little more weight.
But when that was presented to me, it was like, wow, like, my parents didn't have the money to put me through college or, just teach me about little things. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they were always either working one job or working 2 to 3 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my dad working 3 jobs at one point when it was just me and my little brother.
Yep.
And then my mom was working a regular job, so I was always left with my grandmother and grandfather. And
Yep.
I always grew up, not bashing that, because obviously they had to do what they had to do in order to make a living for us. But that's not my lifestyle that I wanted to live with
Yep.
my kids. I wanted to be there with them,
Yep.
see him crawl, see him walk and all that, right? So once that education piece was brought to me and we started cranking the company, I thought now was a good time that maybe I should go to college and just learn. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily to pick a degree that I was going to go work for that or anything like that. It was just more of, okay, I'm in business, right? I'm an entrepreneur. Let me go to college for business and just learn. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think it's worth it. Education is key. Knowledge is power. You know what I mean? And that's huge for me, because it's like I learned something like 2 or 3 weeks ago in college, and I saw it, a couple weeks ago from my tax advisor, and I was like, oh, wait, I just learned that, so I know how to work with it. You know what I'm saying? And some people may not think that it's worth it because, you have YouTube.
Yep.
But it's like, I thought at the time it's worth it to me.
Good
you know
answer.
what I mean? And, that's just how I feel about it,
Good answer. We'll let him off the hook.
But to just touching real quick on it, I am the first one in my family to ever go to college.
Big responsibility. I was same one here, and it is a mental thing.
Now my brothers and sisters, they're just, everything that I speak about, they just consume everything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's proof of concept, right?
Right, and it's just, I've never seen my mom so proud before.
Oh, there you go. As long as we make Mama Dukes happy, we're happy. All right. What is one piece of actionable advice you'd like to go back and give to your 18-year-old self?
I started this when I was 20 years old. So, I think it'd be to, I wish that I took action a lot sooner.
Yep.
And held myself responsible.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
Expand on that.
Yeah.
It's just, when I was 18, you're young, dumb, and stupid. There's not, unless you have these superpower, parents, superhero parents that, just know everything and, they bring up that A1 kid. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that's not what happened on this side. You know what I mean? I had a lot of
It'll happen for your son, though.
School, I wasn't perfect. I had the opportunity to run for basketball, varsity, and all that. After my freshman year, I caught into the wrong crowd, and that just disappeared, and I wish I took action. I wish I took action and did better. You know what I'm saying? That way, people didn't look at me a certain way or whatever. And at this point in my life, I learned how to just say, fuck people and don't give a shit about what they think. Because I'm doing it and they're not.
The man in the arena. We talk about it all the time.
Exactly. So I think the biggest thing is take action and, holding myself responsible and accountable. And just crushing it, man. I mean,
Total
like I said, I started at 20, so it's like, the 2 years I fucked around, but,
Yep.
I'm in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, so moving on to the 90-year-old question. What is one thing you would want your 90-year-old self to say to you?
You did a fucking hell of a job. Listen, I was...
Even Chrissy likes that one. She never smiles on those. She did a good job.
I was on the way here, and I'm just like, damn, this question,
So I put it.
I'm 26 years old now, you know what I'm saying? And I asked my father-in-law the same question because it's he's 62 years old, you know what I mean? And he just started real estate, 4 years ago. So I'm like, what would you tell your 90-year-old self? And he's like, I wish I started sooner. And I was like, okay, well, what sooner do you? And he's like, you started when you were 20 years old. At 18 or 19, I don't really know a lot of kids that just dive into real estate. You know what I'm saying? by 18 years old, I had fucked up credit.
Yeah. And it's so funny that they say that. And I think the thing that we need to spend some time on, even in the community, because it's coming up more, and we're even trying to shift my own company's thinking to it, is now thinking in decades.
Yeah.
And not just thinking, instant gratification, we used to think about today, tomorrow. Now we have a year. No, not even a year. And real estate is really, how fast does a year go by? Yeah. It's really decades of planning and generation.
Can I just tap into just a little subject real quick?
Of course, yeah.
It has to do with the like real estate and the education piece.
Mm-hmm.
Before I got into this, my credit score was like a 500.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And for those that don't know, like, credit is everything.
Yep.
You can be broke, but have a 750 credit score and can,
Oh, yeah.
do amazing things with it. You know what I'm saying? So I had this loan because when I was a mechanic, I like to be a car enthusiast, and that was the first time I got a credit card.
So you had a liability. Yep.
Yeah, literally. Got a credit card. Oh, well, swipe. And I was like, by that time I had like, how much do I have in my available balance? Oh, $1. Okay. And at that point, I opened up 4, 5, 6 other credit cards and just kept on burying.
Yep.
And at that point, again, my parents were too busy working, and they couldn't teach me about the credit. You know what I'm saying?
And they're not teaching it in schools.
Yeah. And that's the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
If in school, if we can teach the kids in society about credit, do you know how different the world would be?
It's almost like they don't want you to.
No, they don't.
That's a whole nother Tell Us Why episode, though.
My little brother, right?
Yeah.
So this is where my family benefits out of me doing what I do.
Yep.
My little brother he's 22 now. When I started learning about credit, I couldn't implement it because my credit was already trash. So what I had to do was just pay my debt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But for him, he was brand new.
He's benefiting from your experiences.
So all right, let's open up this credit card. Use this just for gas, and pay it when you're done. Use it, pay it, use it, pay it. Opened up 4 other credit cards. You know what I'm saying? The kid is 22 years old with almost an 800 credit score.
There you go.
And
you just set that kid up. Yeah. You just gave him a gift.
Yeah.
That and he won't even appreciate until
he's keeps on giving.
Thankfully, he now I tell him, let's open up another credit card. No. My credit score is already at this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that type of stuff I love it, because they're learning from my mistakes.
Yep.
And I'm just able to educate them, and just it's the generational wealth that I want to get to. My little brother, my youngest brother, he's, what is he, 15, 16 years old now. The kid came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I want to be a real estate agent." I'm like, "Let's do it."
Start out.
My sister, she thought that she wanted to become a mental psychiatrist and stuff like that. She reached out to me like a week ago, and she said, "Hey, I really like what you're doing, and I think I want to get involved."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she's graduating next year.
Yeah.
So it's like I can start teaching her now. My wife can start teaching her now how to be
house
an agent,
hack.
house hack. I'm teaching that to my mom now, my mom and dad.
Yeah.
They were so scared of refinancing their house and being able to, pull equity to pay all the debt off. You know what I'm saying? Because back in 2008 that happened and they lost everything.
Yep.
So, that's just a little story that of the benefits of, I'm not rich, but I'm starting to be rich up here, and I can.
It will follow. I guarantee it'll follow. It'll show up. It will show up. It's been great to see your growth. David, where can people learn more about you? Where can they reach out to you, get some more about you?
Instagram, Facebook. On Instagram, it's Medina__12, and then you can look me up on Facebook, David Medina, David X Medina, because there's a bunch of David Medinas. Or you can just look up my business page, which is Leo Minor Property Group.
Awesome. Right. Any parting words?
No, I thank you guys for having me. I look forward on learning, a lot more from you two, because one, you're my biggest mentor, and I know
I yell a lot.
It happens. But I can't wait to see you guys crush your goals next year as well, because my list is getting up there now with goals, and I'm more motivated than ever.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Can't check it out. Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
All right, Jack, where can they learn more about Tell Us Why?
All right, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere except TikTok.
You gotta start with the TikTok.
Don't get me going.
We haven't done anything with it yet.
Just don't get me going.
Also,
you can check us out if you want in person at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. We record most Wednesdays in Salem, New Hampshire. We'd love to have you here. What is the quote of the week?
Quote of the week. They say the 2 most powerful words in the English language are the shortest. I am. Whatever you put after those two words determines your destiny. It's Jim Quick and Limitless.
It's like
Dynamite.
deep.
I know, I like that
like
one.
that.
Reading that book right now. I pulled that one out.
All right.
But that's it for today. Be sure to join us for next week's episode. And until next week.
Bet on yourself.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.